Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live today. It's December 12th, 2023. That would be December 12th, the 12th of December. Seems like a day that you ponder, how is it that we get data points, consecutive data points, and we really don't move off of them? It's like, if you would have told me, Bender and Stonks, that data would come in the way it is and we would still be holding green right here, I'd be like, dude, there's no way. The dollar would have to be absolutely just on fire to the upside, and we would have to be peeling back like no other. Initial reaction wasn't there. We came
Everybody's on
down.
vacation.
Well, the market's moving pretty good with everybody being on vacation. And I don't know that everybody's on vacation. Kind of based on, how we have volume one day and not the next. So somebody's somewhere doing something with something. So that's kind of my takeaway with the whole thing. I expected us to kind of peel back a little bit more based on what the week actually means in a lot of ways. And here we go. We're putting in a low right now, at least session low, if that's what we want to call it. It's very, very interesting how we continue to get bull lines. They give us patterns that are looking somewhat, I don't want to say bearish, but like intraday, you'll get like a head and shoulders. That's not. That is absolutely not
Just
a head
kidding.
And it's like we saw that yesterday. This massive head and shoulders sitting right in the middle. It's like you could not see it. And that right shoulder just got melted up, melt. Apple was interesting yesterday, how they sold it, seconds before open and just kept it suppressed. And, it's kind of lagging here a little bit this morning, as far as the overall move. Very interesting time. Again, to reiterate, we know that the flow was bullish for this week. We've known that for weeks. And we've had a very, very nice pump. I am almost positive, Bender, that you're going to open up your charts and point out the multiple areas below that we need to fill in. That's my guess. That you're going to be like, well, there's this, which, kind of makes sense for us to do that, whether they knife it tomorrow on the rate announcement or with Powell or whatever it may be. All of these things I think are within the realm of possibilities, as is yet another build out of a head and shoulders and a melt up. That is entirely possible also. So with this being said, I don't have a whole lot. We can talk about Boeing, laying people off and getting new orders. We can talk about how Oracle, put up some pretty shat numbers, but yet the NASDAQ was like, and tech was like, yeah, no, this has got nothing to do with us. We're going to rock. We can talk about how Apple is a sad sack for the most part, but continues to get 195 calls and 197.50 calls coming in, no matter what the situation. We can talk about how Tesla flow yesterday was pretty bearish, further dated. Like there's some haunting lines to the downside on Tesla. We can talk about that if we wanted to. We can talk about a lot of things, but I think what we should do for now is to get into these charts, Bender and Stonk, get an idea of where we are. I think the dollar could be, a little bit more hoish than we would like today, based on the Fed announcement tomorrow. Let's get into it. What you got?
All right, let's get into it. I'm going to start with, let's just take a quick look at the daily here. Looking at that volume imbalance right in here that we were talking about yesterday. We pushed up near the top of it, again, right up 4,700. And the other thing that kind of stands out is if I go, let's pull up a 4-hour, and we'll go regular trading hours. You can see that 46.97.25 being the top of that regular trading hours gap. So when I go back to electronic trading hours, you can see we traded right up to fill that gap. Right, so filled the gap and then getting this little sell back down. we go to a 60-minute, you can see there is a fair value gap in here. Right there. So we'll see if that kind of becomes, if it gets through this to the downside and that becomes resistance, then we can look at maybe 46.52. There's a couple of volume imbalances that are sitting in here. I think if we extend this out, you can see one right in here that would need to be filled. Another one right in here that could be filled. And then right in here. And you see the bodies of these 60-minute candles right here that held above that volume imbalance. 46.57.25. So that's what, about 20.18 down from here to get in there and fill some of those volume imbalances in and take out this 46.52. Maybe that's what they do. Maybe they pull it down, scare everybody, pull it down to that area. If it wants to continue to the upside or reverse and push up, we're going to be leaving a fair value gap behind here on this 15-minute candle. If we can get up and over that and that becomes support, then you can look towards that pre-market high, 46.96.25. Zooming back out, there's just not, as you mentioned, there's a lot of stuff that we left behind, on these moves up. But until, you get a real shift, it's like, okay, we're not ready for that yet. I could see a scenario where they come down and take out all this stuff in here at some point, right? And that would be a potential, okay, we took that out, see what kind of reaction you get. If we start operating below 4,600, then we can start to look to fill in some of these candles. But until then, it's still, they're still buying the dip until they aren't. I don't think
Okay.
not a whole lot else coming into this.
Yeah.
I do have clocks today. I think we'll see. Almost back to normal over here. Almost.
Well, we've been holding our breath, Bender. Let me tell you, we've been holding our breath, being like, "Oh man, I wonder if Bender's okay." Oh man, oh man, oh man. Yeah.
No, I can only imagine how concerned you were.
Yeah.
Although I think the wording that you probably used was like, "Where the fuck is Bender?" It was probably more of that.
Yeah, well, kind of. Yeah. Yeah. It's like you can only do so much butt stuff in a 2-week period before it's like
You'd
you're
be
really
surprised.
trying to do damage to yourself.
You'd be surprised. Yeah.
Until you're doing severe damage to yourself. All right, Snox, what you got, buddy?
Oh man. All right. How do I follow that up? We needed you back because I did too much butt stuff. Let's see. Let's go through some stuff. I guess we got no Sunny, so let's see what we got going on. Google, some negative headlines on Google. They lost an antitrust case against Epic Games related to Fortnite. Oracle, they did not like the ER Q2 revenue miss. Execution risk increasing, says Jeffries. JP Morgan says Apple told suppliers to build fewer iPhone 15s. Nokia moving on up. I think we saw flow on that. That's interesting. Let's see. Netflix doing better than Disney Plus on advertising. And let's see. We'll get into upgrades and downgrades later. Downgrades. All right, let's do upgrades. Downgrades. Amgen upgraded. EXP, HPQ upgraded. And then downgrades, they've got Airbnb, Comerica, CMA, that gets a lot of dark pool if you're into that. Expedia downgraded, and Adobe with a price target raise. MasterCard and Visa, Jeffries upgraded price targets up there. Ulta, FedEx, GoPro, all upgraded this morning. All right, let's get into some charts here. Keep going. And start on SPY with the smash burgers. All right, here we go. So we talked a little bit about this yesterday. We had Larry this would have been the last smash day, and it would have been an upside smash day because we closed below prior day's low. So Larry would have been getting long here. Larry would be doing pretty good, and we'd be setting alerts now. We had closed above the prior day's range, so we're setting an alert on the break below yesterday's low. That would be the smash day to the downside on SPY. Same over here on the Qs. Didn't get that. We would have had this well, that one looks like it closed right at the low, but this candle didn't close below the low. So we've been just kind of, we closed above prior day's high, wait for the break of the low, closed above prior day's high. We got the alert set on that low. So that's kind of what we're looking at over there on the Qs. And IWM has not had an update. We still closed in the prior day's range, so we'd be still waiting on the break of this low down there. We'll get an alert that pops in the room. If we jump over to the NASDAQ, I'm going to do this on the continuous contract because if you look at the March contract that we've been, we basically just took out the old high yesterday. So that I drew some fibs on here so we could have some ideas of levels above. But otherwise, we're kind of, we took out the last bear on the March contract. So we jump over to the continuous. We took out this high here, and if we jump over to the weekly, we've got these guys above. Orange boxes are going to be these weekly gaps. So for targets above, you can see I've marked up, we've talked a lot about max pain, stop someone out and pause. So we took out this high. So it's kind of like, okay, next, you got the high of this weekly candle, and then we've got a weekly gap up here. And then what next is all-time high. So for upside targets, if you're watching the continuous contract, you could be looking at that 16,583 to see what we do with it. That's not too far off from where we are at the moment. It's easy target. And then we've got these weekly gaps above. If we drill down a little bit, zoom in, if we're going to pull back, this looks like an important bunch of stops that would be sitting right there. And then, we've got a couple fair value gaps on the way down. We've got, looking at the 4 hour, like this is all pretty much open. The yellow is daily fair value gaps. We'll switch that one up. And then the other thing we can kind of keep in mind is we've got this kind of like rising thing going on here. So we'll see if this trend line, if they keep kind of rejecting the top of this trend line. So that's kind of what I'll be looking at here on the NASDAQ. If we can, one thing I think that was important to just recap from yesterday was this failed trade idea. Was looking for the Mr. T fill this 5-minute gap. I was looking for this to be a short, and taking another look at this, I talk on voice, I'm talking about, let's see where this 5-minute candle closes for the signal. And this was the 5-minute candle getting in, and it closed above that level. So that would have this should have just been the bull signal, get out, it's not going to work. And then you can see when it came back in, into this gap.
That was the right shoulder of the head and shoulder that wasn't.
Exactly. Yeah. So, so that, when I'm talking about, hey, we've got 3 minutes on this 5-minute candle, let's see how it closes. When it closes above a gap like that, that's it. That trade's dead. And an important, we joke about order filled, reversed. It's like as a newer trader, you got to be really careful with that reverse, because it's like a newer trader will be like, okay, I'm buying, I'm long. Oh shit, I should have gone short. I'm out, I'm short. Oh shit, I should have gone long. It's like But when you're diving in and you got your conviction going, you think you know what you're doing, it's really hard to start going short or going long when you think it was a short. So it's like important to just be kind of nimble. I think we had days like that, where we jump in at the beginning of the day and we're like, yeah, I think we're in a rising wedge. This is gonna be a short, and we just melt up. So it's like you got to just be ready to kind of be quick thinking on your feet, and it's on you, right? Like you got to be the one. You can't be like, oh well, I just took a loss, and Stonk says we're going down, so I'll listen to him this time. It's like you gotta have your own kind of conviction there.
Look,
So
it's not. I'll take it a step further.
yeah,
There's only one person for each of us that has the ability to click the button on our platforms on a daily basis, right?
hmm
And that's us. No matter what, it's like there's plenty of times that you can fade Stonk or myself or go with the flow, whatever it may be. But it's like ultimately the only person that you have an obligation to is yourself. And the only person that has responsibility for your portfolio again is yourself. That's it.
yeah,
You click the button. Yeah. Do I? And yeah, yeah. And that's really all I can say about it. You click the fucking button. That's it. Nobody else can make you click a button. That's it.
yep,
Carry on.
yep. Well said. Yeah, that's just one I know I like struggled with at the beginning, where I would be like, oh, I think this is a long, but I just got stopped out, and this person, it's like, well, now they're saying it. So it's like, yeah, you got to figure it out for yourself. Rusty. So this was the level I've been waiting for. We've been talking about it. There's a ton of stops sitting there. We knew that. All of this, we didn't take it out there. We didn't take it out there. So now we grabbed it, putting in a red candle. So currently, what I'll be looking for here is we've got this trend line on the way up, and we've got this key level here where there's a bunch of stops. The rest of this is kind of not super clean. This is like Mr. T would probably call that like a swing low. So this could be an interesting one to see what they do with it, which would also potentially line up with this trend line here. So I'll be looking for that. If we give that up, and this is going to be my next target to the downside. We've still seen some pretty bullish lines over here on the Russell, and mega or small caps been doing pretty good. So kind of what I'm going to be looking for. I still think this could, even though we took out this, maybe we'll get a bit of a sell, but still going to be kind of thinking buy the dip, where this is pretty clear uptrend over here on the Russell. So this is going to be kind of what I'll be looking for over there. And then let's see. So the other thing we were talking about the SMH yesterday, pre-market, this double bottom bull flag break thing made a killer move. And I think one of the things, there was kind of a bit of a theme yesterday, was that the Magnificent Seven, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, it's like they just didn't really participate in a super bullish day. So it was like I'm sitting over there watching NVIDIA, and it was just going down while we called this bullish pattern on the SMH, and it shredded to the upside, but it was based on AMAT and all the other every other semi except for NVIDIA. So that's kind of something I think we need to keep in mind going into today, which is why I kind of branched out a little bit and threw up Roku here on the watch list. It's got this bull flag it's working on, daily inside bar. We're just below what I wanted to use as a call trigger, this 103.50. You can see as a key level, resistance, some banging around, support, resistance, currently resistance. So we'll see if this bull flag can break. And then below, we've got 101.50. If we're going to go to the downside, going to see what it does down there. You can see support. And then the other one was going to be coin. Also a daily inside bar, very gappy. We had the headlines on crypto. I guess Warren is putting out some kind of regulation bill that, and basically the Sunday night futures open, which, crypto is 24 hours, but whatever it was, when the futures open on Sunday, they sold the shit out of Bitcoin, which, you can see the gap down here on coin. So we saw some put flow as well in coin. So going to kind of see, maybe this is some kind of like double top up. We'll see what we get, but I'm going to be looking here at this 139.75 that we're sitting on below, and we'll see what they do with 136.15. You can see the reactions there, and that's it. That's all I got.
And that's it. All right, very good. Yeah. So I think the dollar again with the Fed tomorrow is going to be a player in the day. I think it's going to chart really, really well. I think you have to look at a couple of things here. We're busting highs with the dollar being resilient and the VIX being a non-factor. Right, the VIX is completely crushed at this point. So it would not surprise me in the least bit if we get some covering over there on the VIX and we get a move higher. Wouldn't surprise me if the dollar pushes higher. That doesn't necessarily mean we get a big red day today. It just means that, you know, the expectations after data going to tomorrow somewhat muted unless we we get some type of liquidity break either to the upside or downside. And thus far, unless we want to count that, you know, the CPI candle, we have not had a true liquidity break in a number of days to where we get that action, we get that move. So that's kind of how I'm looking at the day. You know, the dollar is there, right? It's like I still believe that the dollar's ultimate path is lower, but I'm not yet convinced that we're not going to make another pretty valiant push to the upside before it completely peters out. Just thoughts, something to keep an eye on. Obviously, we'll be watching flow today. Apple will be important to some degree. Yesterday it was crushed and then just traded sideways until the last 5 minutes of the day, and it put up some green candles, and you know we made a move. Also, be curious though to watch the options flow around Oracle and Microsoft, whether or not you know some of those names, how they're kind of reading into this. Are they buying the dip on Oracle, or are they just going to flush it back under 100? It's like, what are we doing? I think that'll be a piece. Travel stocks will also be something that I'm looking at. And while we had some good retail flow at the end of last week, I really didn't see them come back in on Monday and repump it. Some of that retail flow. Didn't really see that secondary move of flow. So that'll be kind of on watch also. That's all I got. You guys have anything else?
We do have triple witching this week, and something else to make note of is the historical sort of Wall Street free lunch setup, where we look for stocks that make lows on December 15th. So I'll be kind of keeping an eye on that. I'll put a list together that we'll have for Monday, but just something to be aware of, that
Cool.
This is the time of year where you know, portfolio managers go out and sell their losers, and stocks that historically it was nicey stocks, but stocks that make new lows on the 15th, look for opportunity to pick them up, because historically they outperform the market from December 15th into January.
Very nice. Nice observation. Thank you, Bender. All right, everybody. We got about 14 minutes until open. 14 minutes until open. We'll see you soon.